Welcome back to a new video. In this video, we are going to create an AI chatbot using Python and LangChain. The chatbot is going to take prompts from us and it's going to remember both the prompt we gave to it and the output it generates. So in this way, we can have conversations or we can ask follow-up questions. Let's start coding. So I'm at VS Code right now. You can use any code editor that you want. I prefer VS Code, but you can use Spider, Google Colab, PyCharm or anything that you want, it doesn't matter. We are going to create this chatbot on Jupyter Notebook because I want to explain every step clearly. So let's start by creating a Jupyter Notebook, like let's say chatbot.ipmb. We are going to develop this chatbot in ipmb file, but you can create a Streamlit user interface for it or tkinter, it's up to you. You can create interfaces for chatbots like this. Maybe we can do a video about this later on. But in this one, we are going to be just creating the logic behind and we are going to be able to run this in a Python script, but without user interface. We can use it through terminal or the interpreter we have. Okay, so the library that we are going to be using in this video is going to be LangChain. But before directly starting to coding about Chatbot, I want to show you the LangChain version that I'm using right now, because with library updated, the codes and codes working behind it can change. So if you are having different version of LangChain, different than this video 0 to 12, maybe the codes won't work in your environment. You can easily install this by pip install LangChain and 0 to 12, and for Mac side you can do pip3 like this, or in Jupyter Notebook you can do this. By the way, you need to paste the first two to terminal, so you can install it like this and you are going to be able to have the same LangChain version with me. You can check it by this after installing the necessary versions. So now that we have installed the required packages, we will import them into our notebook. These libraries include LangChain's components and other tools necessary for building the chatbot. So at the first step before the LangChain, let's import the OS, and then we are going to import OpenAI from LangChain, like from LangChain .large language models import OpenAI, and then I will say from LangChain .chains import conversation chain, and after importing the conversation chain we are going to import prompt template from LangChain prompts import prompt template, and next I will say from LangChain memory import conversation buffer memory, like this. These are going to be our imports for this video. So next up, we need to set our API key. We are going to use OpenAI's GPT models, so we need to authenticate with the OpenAI API. So in this way, we need to set our API key. I'm not going to give you mine, like we will say environment and OpenAI API key, and it starts with something SK123. It doesn't goes like 1 2 3, but it starts with SK and then it continues like with numbers and characters mixed up. So you can get your own API key from OpenAI API Playground website. They give you $5 free bonus when you sign up for the platform, and we are going to use a free model in this tutorial, GPT 3.5 Turbo. So if you create an account, you don't need to do anything like adding money, adding balance to your account. You can directly use it if they don't change the policy of giving free $5. And if they change the policy, you can add like a $1 or $2. This video won't cost too much. I think it's going to be around 30 cents maximum, not more than that in my opinion. And right now I'm going to paste my API key in here, then make this cell run, and I'm going to delete my API key and I'm going to be starting to record again. I have my API key entered right now. we set it as an environment variable. Great. So right now we set up the API key and we are going to initialize the language model. So I will say large language model is going to be OpenAI, and I will say model name is going to be GPT 3.5 Turbo. We are going to use that. These warnings are not important. Actually, let's get rid of them. I don't like seeing depreciation warnings, so we can say import warnings, and we can say warnings.filter warnings ignore, like this. And now when I make this run, we are not going to see any warnings. Great. Now we are going to set up the conversation chain. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to define the chatbot's logic. So it's going to be saying how it's going to interact with the user and remembers the context of the conversation. So for that, I will say conversation memory, and it's going to be conversation buffer memory, like this. And then we will say conversation chain, like this, and it's going to be conversation chain, and we are going to give large language model like this, and we are going to give memory as conversation memory, like this. Now that the conversation chain is ready, we can start interacting with the chatbot. In this step, we will pass a user input to the chatbot and see how it responds. So it's going to be a basic testing, and later on this video, in 1 or 2 minutes, we are going to test this chatbot in like creating a program with Python or installing something from web. I'm playing like this, and we can say user input, and it can be hello, who are you? And then we can say response conversation chain dot run, and we are going to pass input user input, and let's make it run, and when it gets run we can print the response. So it's hello, I'm an AI created to assist you with any questions or tasks you may have. My programming allows me to access a vast amount of information to provide you with accurate and helpful answers. How can I assist you today? Great. Let's continue. After the initial interaction, you can continue the conversation by passing more inputs to the chatbot. The memory module will ensure that the chatbot remembers the context from previous chains. So we can do user input, and I will say, please define yourself with different words or synonyms of the last provided text. And this is going to be input for testing if it's remembering this output. And I will say response is going to be conversation chain.run, and I will give the input user input like this. And when it finishes, let's print our response back. Sure, you can think me of as a digital assistant, a virtual helper, or a computerist knowledge navigator. I'm here to make your life easier by answering your questions and completing tasks for you. How can I help you further? Great. Let's customize the prompt. But before that, let's give another input like user input, and I'm going to say, help me download an app from Google Play Store. Give me short and clear instructions. In the end, I'm going to say response conversation chain that run input is going to be user input again, and then actually this time I made a typo on the response. It's like this. Of course, to download an app from the Google Play Store, follow these steps. So I'm going to make this appear with print because it's not jumping to the next line. It's going to be pretty easy to read right now. Yeah, of course, to download an app from the Google Play Store, follow these steps. Open the Google Play Store app on your device. Use the search bar at the top of the screen to type in the name of the app you want to download. Once you find the app, tap on it to open the app's page. Look for the install button and tap on it. The app will now begin downloading and installing on your device. Once the download is complete, you can find the app on your home screen or in your app drawer. Enjoy using your new app. If you need any further assistance, feel free to ask. Great. So it's working pretty good, right? So let's customize the prompt. Let's say if you want to control how the chatbot formulates its responses, you can create a custom prompt template. This allows you to structure the conversation in a specific way. Like you can remember, we also imported the prompt template from LangChain and we are going to use it right now. Let's create a template firstly. Template is going to be, let's say, actually it took the arithmetic error. I will say for the template, you are a helpful assistant who helps people to use their Android devices easily. Here is the conversation history. And now what I'm going to do is we are going to give the history, let's say so far, and we are going to give history like this. And then we will say user, and it's going to be input like this. And now we are going to say assistant, and we are going to give it like that. So it's going to be our prompt template, and in the prompt side I will say prompt template input variables is going to be history and input, and the template is going to be template like this. Great. Now we are going to use the custom prompt in the chain. Like now that we have a custom prompt template, we can use it. We are going to integrate it into our conversation chain. This will tailor the interactions according to the template we defined. So do that. I will say conversation chain, and it's going to be conversation chain, and I will say large language model is going to be large language model, and memory is going to be conversation memory, and prompt is going to be prompt. And then we are going to use it easily in the same way that we used before. I will say user input, and I will say, can you guide me on how to add pin to as lock screen? And I will say step by step. And next I will say response is going to be conversation chain dot run input is going to be user input, and let's wait our response, and I will print the response in here. Okay, I need to use print again, no shortcuts. Here is our steps. Let's read it. Sure, here are the step-by-step instructions on how to add a pin as your lock screen on your Android device. Open the settings app on your device, scroll down and find the security or security location option, tap on screen lock or screen lock type. You may need to enter your current lock screen method, or it also shows this. Select pin as your new screen lock method, enter your desired pin and confirm it. By the way, these language models are really good. Like now GPT-4o is released, and even GPT 3.5 Turbo is amazing. Like it's a life changer for sure. You may also set additional options like requiring the pin immediately after the screen turns off. Once you have set up your pin, you can test it by locking your device and unlocking it with the new pin. Your lock screen should now be secured with a pin code. If you have any trouble or further questions, feel free to ask. So it's looking pretty good. I really like the response, and let's test if this remembers that it gave these steps. So for that, let's say like user input, and it's going to be I had a trouble in step 4 entering my current lock screen. I need help on that step. So if this remembers our previous response that we get, now it's going to remember the for, and it's going to remember the context that I asked in here, like how to add a pin as our lock screen. So it needs to remember that I asked this, and then it needs to guide me. Let's test it out. So for that I will say response again, and it's going to be conversation chain that run, and input equals to user input, like this. And this time I will say print instead of directly typing it, print response. If you are having trouble entering your current lock screen method in step 4, you may need to follow these additional instructions. Great. So I'm not going to read them more. Let's read it. I changed my decision. Go back to screen lock or screen lock type option to security and location settings. Look for an option that allows you to change or reset your current lock screen method. Follow the prompts to reset your lock screen method to a pin. Once you have successfully changed your lock screen method to a pin, you can proceed with setting up your new pin as instructed in step 5. If you continue to have trouble, it may be helpful to refer to your device's user manual or contact the manufacturer's customer support for further assistance. Let me know if you need more help. So, it seems pretty good, but let's test it one more time if it's remembering the output that it gave or not. So for that, what I'm going to do right now is I will say user input is going to be equal to the okay. Now I fixed the problem. Please give all the steps back from step 4 to the end for me to remember. And I will say response conversation chain that run, and I will give the input again at user input. Then I will print the response here, and let's see if it prints. Enter your desired pin. Yes. Okay, it's working really good. It remembers what we talked about. It answers additional questions about what it prints, and it's remembering the whole history. So that was all we wanted. As the final step, what I want to show you is you can clear its memory by a single command. Like let's say you are going to do different thing in here. You can easily go to the starting point by saying conversation chain dot clear, and it's going to clear the conversation history. Actually, I made a mistake in here. We are going to say conversation memory. We are going to clear the memory, so we need to say conversation memory. It's my bad, and now our conversation memory is clear. Great. So let's summarize this video and then we can finish, since we created our tool and it's working really good, and you can create a user interface for it. In this video I just used Jupyter Notebook for showing the logic. So we import the LangChain at the start, then we check its version, then I showed you how you can install this version, then we set our API key, we import the OpenAI conversation chain prompt template and conversation buffer memory from LangChain, then we defined our large language model. We picked a free model that you can use with free account, like not any balance added account from OpenAI side. By the way, it's for right now. Maybe they changed the free $5 policy, I don't know. We filtered the warnings, then we created the conversation memory and conversation chain, which was our main logic of the chatbot. So we give memory and large language model to our chatbot, then we started to testing it. And next, here we created a template like this. We give the history and input, and then we created the prompt template, and we created a chain with memory and prompt. Then we tested it, and at the end I showed you how you can clear the conversation memory for restarting to the chat. So that was all for the coding part. Thank you. I have a lot of LangChain and AI tutorials. You can check that playlist from the cards or the description of this video. Let's get to the outro. Thanks for watching this video on creating a chatbot. I'm sharing new data science videos every week on my channel. You can subscribe for more videos like this. Also, I have a playlist for LangChain and AI tutorials. You can find that playlist from the cards of this video. Thanks for watching again. Have a great day.